Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. I'm Eric, and joining me is, as always, Ian.
Hey, I'm WeiryWriter.
Also joining us is David, who survived the winter wasteland and snowshoed his way here today.
Yep, that's exactly it. I snowshoed to the internet.
That's how it works.
I'm also Windrunner on the forums.
Lastly, we are required by law, on this podcast to include Alyx, despite you literally being in a high storm, thunderstorm, currently.
Yes, and I am FeatherWriter on the forums. And of course, I am here to talk about Renarin come hell or high water, so...
You might get high water.
Yeah, definitely.
Storm.
Yep.
I could literally see, this isn't a video podcast, but I could literally see the lightning going through Alyx's window. So
it's going out there.
Seeing it through, not... It wasn't coming through the window.
Yeah, like the lightning shattered my window and electrocuted me right before we started recording.
It wouldn't
how
stop
committed
you from
we are.
talking
We're
about
still
it.
here.
For Renarin. It's so important.
I gotta stay. Hold the ambulance.
So today, guys. Oh, I'm Chaos on the forums. Today we are going to talk about Sja-anat, corrupted spren, Voidbinding, and how it's all related to Renarin. So we did have to legally include Alyx, or else we would all be murdered in our sleep.
I'm holding them all at gunpoint, just so you know.
You're going to electrocute us.
Yeah, with my
electric
new
gun.
electricity power.
You control lightning. That's right. That's right. Exactly.
This just in, Alyx is the protagonist of Dark One.
Sweet.
It's all based around her. Yep. So there will be Oathbringer spoilers in this podcast. We're back on some Oathbringer stuff. And if there's other spoilery things, I'll put that in the description. We do have some news though. Let's start with that before we get into it. To no one's surprise, there is a new secret project on BrandonSanderson.com's progress bar.
Oh no.
Goodness.
What's new? Last time we had a secret project, it was Skyward. The time before that, we got Mistborn Secret History, and the time before that, we got Bands of Morning. So,
Well, no, because that
was
wasn't
on
a
progress bars.
true secret project. Because
Yeah.
we just had
It was
no
so secret
idea he was
it didn't
working
get a
on something
progress
else.
bar.
That's true. That is true. We didn't even get a progress bar
Yeah.
until Amazon screwed it up and made everyone aware of it. But you know,
Oh my gosh,
whatever.
yeah.
Brandon, I accidentally this entire sequel, Sanderson.
Right, exactly. Hey guys, Eric here coming in from the future. And I just wanted to say that before we speculate away on if this secret project is Cosmere or not, Brandon did post that it is not Cosmere, it is a novella. And so thought I'd let you know before everyone says, wow, these guys don't know what's going on, because we record these in advance. I did think I'd leave the speculation in because it has some inadvertent Hemalurgy puns, which I found to be very amusing in editing. So that's what we got going on here. So I'll cut this back in and leave past Eric to make a fool of himself as always. So what do you guys think the secret project might be? He has said there's not going to be Cosmere for 2018. That it will be a while before he starts Wax and Wane. He'll be until the fall before he starts working on it, and for that to be a 2019 release. So I would anticipate it not being a Cosmere novel that is as big as that.
Mhm.
So there's the possibility it's a Cosmere novella, but my deepest desire is that it's the Otzlanian, which is the sequel to the
Boo.
Hypnotist.
Oh, that's true.
Like, I
That's
want
true.
it so bad.
Could be possible.
Yeah, I'm really hoping for a Cosmere novella. I would love to see if he just sometime in the last 6 weeks just cracked Silence Divine and is like, oh, I'm just going to bust this out real quick. Probably unlikely. I think like other realistic possibilities include that he's finally figured out Alcatraz 6, because this is right around the time he was supposed to be bouncing ideas off of Jancy. I'm forgetting her last name.
Patterson.
Who's going to be Patterson, that's going to be co-authoring it with him, hopefully. So maybe he's figured that out, but I'm hoping Cosmere novella, Cosmere short story. It's been a while since he wrote Oathbringer, actually, so.
Yeah, he did say he was going to be working on the outline for that. So, and the timeline would match up. Whether or not that would get a... But I don't see why it would be a secret project, because he told us he was going to be doing that.
Yeah. If it's a secret project, then he can't tell us about what it is right now, because either it's something that he's just trying that might not work out, so he doesn't want to tell anyone about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Or it's super secret.
Yeah, which after Apocalypse Guard didn't turn out like he hoped, and that was kind of really hyped up. I can understand him wanting to keep things on the down low, which Brandon is fantastic about communicating with his audience, much more so than a lot of other writers, not naming names. But
we know.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. So it's why I'm not really upset. Like, sure, like, keep this quiet until you're ready to talk about it. Like, he's so clear, so open about everything else that I don't begrudge him keeping a few secrets.
He must
Also,
know, though, that he's just, like, you know, like dangling a bell over our heads right now, just going, I wonder what this is, you know? Like, that we're all just going a little stir crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, we're very lucky that we're in a fandom that Brandon's like, I started a new project, 2% done. Like, oh, okay. What is it?
Yeah.
You'll see. We are recording this a bit in advance before its air date, so if there is news, I'll put it in the liner notes. And so, if you comment, but Brandon talked about it, it's just like, yeah, we record these in advance a bit, so.
You can laugh at us for being behind the times in the comments.
That's true.
All of that fun.
Yep. All right. Let's suppose it is a Cosmere novella, which is not guaranteed in any way, but we like the Cosmere, so let's
It's all right.
spitball some Cosmere novella ideas. What could it be, maybe?
There's Silence Divine, like Wendy mentioned.
Yep.
There's Wander Sail.
I was going to say Wander Sail. Yeah.
Which I think it's a little early for Wander Sail. Like, if it's meant to appease us during the long break between Stormlight. So it seems a little early for that. There's...
Also, if I was Brandon, Oathbringer was such a massive project that I'd still probably want some brain space between actually writing Stormlight.
Yeah, that's very
Although
true.
He is outlining Stormlight 4 and 5 right now.
Right now?
And maybe he got...
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
He said that actually a few months ago, that it'll take like over a year to just get complete outlines for them. So, he's working on that.
Yeah.
So maybe he just got, I'm so excited for Wander Sail. I have to write it right now. Because, I mean, he is thinking about that, but that's a possibility.
It could be the Silverlight novella.
Yeah, that's true.
It still seems a little early for that, though.
Yeah. I tend to agree.
Yeah. It could be that 6th short story they talked about, the sequel to Six of the Dusk, that he's mentioned.
That's true.
Eric's favorite tale that Brenner's ever written.
No.
I do think a sequel will make it stronger in
Definitely.
retrospect.
Definitely.
I am a good Cosmere fan who has definitely read all of Six of the Dusk and didn't stop halfway through.
You didn't miss much. You didn't miss much in the ending.
I really should.
There's a perpendicularity. That's about it.
I have heard about the perpendicularity.
There's a perpendicularity. It's not. I mean,
it's a fun
I'm glad
world.
if you like Six of them.
It's a cool world. The plot was not the strongest, but
yeah,
I'm glad if people like that. My pet theory for what this secret project is secret history too.
Wow,
that's
don't get our hopes up.
No, see, all right. Let me pitch it to you, okay?
Okay.
We heard at the Oathbringer tour that we will get a Hemalurgy table in 2018, this year. Right?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
That is weird that it's 2018, but yeah.
I know. Exactly. And
Look at the date, by the way. 2018. Does that not amuse anyone else?
Now they all know when we've recorded this.
Yeah, that's true. Anyone in Europe's like, it's 18/2/2018. I don't get it. Anyway. But we heard that Secret History 2 would be Marsh stuff, right?
There would be some Marsh stuff, yes.
I have not heard that. This is very exciting to me.
And
Oh my
who
god.
has Hemalurgy? Marsh.
Okay.
Nailed it. Half-Life 3 confirmed.
Okay, well,
Nailed it.
okay. I think it's much more likely that the Hemalurgy table is for the Hero of Ages Leatherbound.
Well, okay.
Oh, yeah, that's true, too.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
Way to
And
just like puncture that theory there.
that's
Half-Life 3
my
confirmed.
reason to live, to destroy other people's theories.
Mostly mine.
And Secret History 2 isn't just about Marsh. Like, it's
True.
more the entire gap between eras 1 and 2. Like, it will deal with the Kandra living in animal bodies, because that was a thing for a while. They said, oh, we're not going to use human bodies or true bodies for some reason. It's like, no, just animals. Which
Is that still canon? Because I remember seeing that in like the Hero of Ages like Q&A, but I haven't seen it ever mentioned like since then.
Brandon has mentioned that it is still canon during that time gap, and that he would get into it in Secret History 2 if he ever.
Interesting.
There is a lot of weird stuff in that time jump.
Yeah, like Spook's Century of Rule, where he was king of the basin for 100 years.
Yeah.
And the basin's top ladies, man.
I was gonna say.
The good 100 years.
Woo,
For him, certainly.
Woo.
He had a good Valentine's Day. For many centuries. But I was just thinking, hey, if I'm thinking about Lost Metal as Brandon, right?
That's true.
Maybe that got me excited about writing Secret History 2, and maybe we have enough to see it now. Maybe we don't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because we could never have gotten Secret History 1 until we got bans. And so
I feel like we're not going to get Secret History 2 until after Lost Metal.
that's my thought too. But yeah.
So I think he would hold off writing it until he finished with Lost Metal, just so he has that all locked down.
True. All of these things are true.
Yeah, wait, what is he supposed to be working on right now anyway? Oh, well.
Theoretically, Skyward.
But we're through the second draft, so is he to revisions yet? Maybe? Or probably it's probably being beta read before too long, but
second draft is
red.
like incorporating is actually just fixing all of the things he noticed in that were errors in the first draft.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, and like fixing all of the weirdness of inserting and deleting characters willy-nilly that he does.
Mm-hmm. But he's done with second draft now, so it's passed.
Oh, yeah. So he's sending it off to alpha readers, which includes like his editor and his agent and his writing group.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So another idea that I just had is Adamant, which is the mini series of novellas that he's written the first one,
Right.
which may or may not be Cosmere. He said he might slide it in. We don't know what's happening with that.
He did say, I'm looking at State of Sanderson, and the status on Adamant is still possible in the near future.
Which this is his Silence of the Lambs in space story. He has done a reading from the first novella, which it's an interesting idea. I'm excited to see that at some point. Not that but he's not going to start releasing until he has all of the novellas completed and then serialize them over the course of a single year.
He said that Wax and Wayne 4 is on the slate after he finishes Skyward. So
Yeah, I think he said September 1st was his hopeful start date for that.
Yeah. Well, that's the absolute latest it can happen.
Yeah,
he wants.
I guess he's not writing all of Skyward in one shot, at least that we've heard.
Yeah.
So.
Well, he hadn't made the decision yet, as far as I know.
That is weird. We do kind of have this break. I don't know. That's interesting. This is very interesting.
Yeah. Have we mentioned Silence Divine yet? Because I know Brandon did. Okay, I've been cutting out a little bit, so
that's true. You have.
Unfortunate, but yeah.
I mean, after we got Oathbringer, there's Ashen stuff, so maybe he's excited about Ashen. That's possible too.
There's the Threnody novel, which it's longer than a novella, but so I don't think he would do it just yet.
I don't think he's writing something longer than Wax and Wayne 4, because that would,
Although I wouldn't be mad.
Months.
Yeah.
I would love a Threnody novel.
Oh, yeah.
If Brandon's I'm so excited about Threnody, I'm just going to write a Threnody novel. Easy. Any last thoughts on Secret Project?
I don't think so.
Better be Cosmere. If not, I'm sure it'll still be good. But
I mean, it is weird to have a big Cosmere break. When was the last time we had a huge Cosmere break?
2012, when Emperor's Soul came out.
Oh, that's true.
Well, that wasn't a break.
But that was the only thing that came out that
Soul.
year. It was like a secret project, last minute small novella. It came out in December, if I recall correctly. So that was the last
it came
year
out
we had.
in the middle of the year, if I remember
really?
correctly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I think
it was
summer.
The Emperor's Soul and Legion that came out that year.
But that was the last time we had not a novel. That's the closest that we've got that I can recall.
So we've never had a full year with no Cosmere at all, right?
Not that I recall.
No, I don't think so.
Freaking spoiled, y'all.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, we are.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know. All the
Thank
Game of
you,
Thrones
Brandon.
fans are just sitting there in silence.
I know. Right?
So it would be weird to have 2018 not have that. So maybe that's on Brandon's mind. But I don't want to get everyone hyped up for it being Cosmere, because totally might not.
Technically, we are getting White Sand Volume 2 in 2018.
Let's pause for cheers right now and applause. Woohoo.
That doesn't count.
Listen to our
refuse to
podcast
count.
from 2 weeks ago.
Last week. Oh yeah. I'm confused at what the timeline is at this stage, but
I know,
on our podcast. But whatever. In February. Listen to our White Sand podcast. Yeah. So who knows? It totally might not be Cosmere though. One other piece of news is the Reckoner's board game Kickstarter is going awesomely.
Yep.
It's funded.
Yes.
Nice.
Well over
very quickly.
Yeah.
12 hours it was done, so.
It's good.
Cosmere fans get it done.
That's right.
Even though
not
this
doubt
isn't
us.
Cosmere.
Well, we're all Cosmere
Reckoners
fans.
is not in the Cosmere. Let's just put that out.
But are we
in case you
sure?
didn't know.
Yeah. And so as stretch
fired.
goals, they've been adding Kickstarter promo epics that are going to be included. And one of them is an epic named Quicksand, who looks an awful lot like Brandon.
That's funny.
That's good.
And is confirmed to be based on Brandon. This just
Love it.
amuses me greatly. So much.
That's wonderful. I love seeing random Brandon references in like weird indie games. It's like, wait a minute, what? That it's so funny. Cool. Well,
Okay.
let's get into it. So we have a lot to talk about with our maybe one of our favorite Unmade, I would imagine.
Oh, this is absolutely my favorite Unmade.
She's the best.
This isn't my favorite Unmade. Everyone knows my long love affair with Bide of Mishram. That's my favorite Unmade. But
We're going to meet her, and you're
A
going
lot
to
of screen time with that one.
That's
Yep.
a heck of a way to phrase that, too.
Long love affair
Stop.
Oh, yeah.
since the
Please.
last Desolation.
Please don't. Oh, no.
I had a good
double
last,
down on that one.
Yeah, I'm doubling down.
All right,
I'm
there's
doubling
Spook.
down.
Okay.
I had a good Valentine's Day with her. She was in prison, but it was fine.
I'm dead. This is my corpse.
Sja-anat, let's just let that go by there. Sja-anat, which is apparently not pronounced Sja-anat.
Yes.
Or was it not?
No.
No.
So I asked Brandon because I read a lot of the books out loud, and I'm the kind of nerd who cares about the way that Brandon pronounces things. Which, disclaimer, if you're listening and don't know this, there's no official pronunciation on anything for y'all at home. Say things however you want.
True.
But I like matching the way that Brandon says things, and he does Sja-anat. Like the sort of French J. Sja-anat is how Brandon says it.
kinda
So
like
that's
that
how
better.
I say it. But yeah, lots of people do Sja-anat because of the Vorin J is a Y. Or
That's
Sja-anat.
that's
would
where
make
I'm
sense.
gonna be.
So
Yeah.
all of them work.
I wonder what the audiobook did. If you listen to the audiobook, please comment
Yeah, let us
below.
know which
'Cause
ones they used.
I don't think any of us have listened to the audiobooks, right?
No.
No.
I am the audiobook.
I've heard
for
they're well
my
done,
friends.
but yeah.
Yeah.
One person commented, was like, why don't you guys just use the audiobook pronunciation? They're consistent.
yeah.
No
And
money.
I'm like, I don't listen to audiobooks. That's all.
I'm sure they're
Just
consistent, but I don't know if they're
They're not
Like, all on the
necessarily
same page.
accurate.
yeah.
And they're not necessarily like true to in-world.
Yeah. Do you remember that Kate Redding pattern from Words of Radiance?
Oh, yeah.
I remember that.
I do remember hearing that one. It's interesting.
I like
yeah, you were
the
there.
I've listened to the first third of the graphic audio for Elantris.
I hear those are quite good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Mhm.
Okay. Sja-anat.
Mhm.
So, David, why don't you read this quote from Mythica about Sja-anat? This first quote here.
Oh, yeah, sure. Of the Unmade, Sja-anat was most feared by the Radiants. They spoke extensively of her ability to corrupt spren, although only lesser spren, whatever that means.
So we as readers know much more than random in-world scholar that wrote this, whose name I do not
Hesse.
remember.
Hesse.
Hesse.
See, yeah.
Okay. So there's the true spren, which are sapient spren, and then there's the sub-spren, which are like wind spren and anger spren and all of those more animalistic spren. So that's the lesser spren that Hesse is referring to here. Probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, although I do feel like the Radiants are lying here. That has always been my read of it, given what we know about Renarin, that I don't know why they would be so afraid of someone who corrupts spren and like talking about it a lot if they weren't actually like a little concerned about their own spren.
Well, I don't think they're lying. I think they're afraid of the potential of, yeah, right now she can only corrupt lesser spren, but what if something changes? What if she gets more powerful? What if she starts being able to corrupt our spren? Like that would be terrifying. Whether or not it's
And that's
consistent
kind
with their current reality, like that.
Yeah.
Fear is not rational.
No.
And that's kind of what I think has maybe happened here, that this desolation is different somehow. We know that the Everstorm was not a thing that happened before during desolations, and maybe that's changed things. Maybe that's made the Unmade more powerful. Maybe they have powers that they didn't have in the past. And so I think it's possible that her corruption of Gliss and her ability to like corrupt the Oathgate spren is possibly something that hasn't shown up before this because she wasn't capable of doing it.
Yeah, my whole theory about what I think is going on with Renarin kind of ties in like by necessity with this belief, though. So I guess we can circle back to that later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think that Sja-anat is not the same as she was in Desolation's past. It's been 4,500 years, and she is an individual. She has the potential to grow and change. She's not just a mindless force.
Right.
Yep. And we see that in part 3 of Oathbringer, she corrupts an Oathgate spren,
Yep.
which seems like a
terrifying.
really big deal.
Yeah.
And she does mention that she had never been able to enlighten one of those before.
That's right.
So something is definitely different now.
For sure.
We even saw that Ba'ida Mishram gained a new ability since the last desolation to the false desolation.
Oh, that's true.
So I just wanted to bring that in mind, not to just name drop Ba'ida Mishram. But
And what was that again? Just to refresh.
I'll let you do this.
Okay. So Ba'ida Mishram basically connected with all the Parsh and gave them forms of power. Whereas in not the true desolation, but in the previous desolations prior to when the Heralds abandoned the Oath Pact, Odium did that directly. So Odium gave them those forms of power and those void spren. So Ba'ida Mishram facilitated those forms of power. And we talked about this on the Part 3 Epigraphs podcast and our Recreants podcast, that it was likely that imprisonment of Ba'ida Mishram, which enslaved the singers, was a key factor in the Recreants.
I wonder if it's not that they're not necessarily more powerful. It's just a matter of experience. They had to figure something out. They had to figure out a hack in order for Ba'ida Mishram to connect with the Parsh, or for Sja-anat to start corrupting more powerful spren.
Here, this is slightly off topic, but I wonder how much Odium can directly talk to the Unmade.
I would think,
because think about it this way: if after the last desolation, Ba'ida Mishram has never got to encounter one of the fused again, right?
as far as we know now.
As far as we know, right? Correct. So, like, could Odium have given them that knowledge of, hey, this is how you connect with the Parsh? Is it that simple, or did they grow and learn something new?
That's
good point.
Sja-anat seems like it's not necessarily from Odium, but I imagine Odium commanded her to try it on the Oathgates friend, right?
Yeah,
No, she was ordered to do so.
Yeah, she was compelled to do it.
Right. So,
that's an interesting question, because theoretically, the Unmade are splinters of Odium. They are connected to Odium,
right,
through the spiritual realm.
Right.
Odium exists primarily in the spiritual realm. So it's possible that he could communicate with them. But, that's interesting.
And we did have a word of Brandon that said that often the way that Odium influences Roshar, he can't influence it directly like Ruin influenced stuff directly on Scadrial.
Correct.
And it's generally through the Unmade.
Yeah.
So that kind of leads me to think that even after the last desolation, Odium could still talk to the Unmade totally fine, right? I don't see any reason why they couldn't necessarily.
Yeah. I wonder what effect an Unmade being captured in a perfect gemstone would have. Would he still be able to communicate with them? Or would that interfere with that in some way? I could see it going either way.
Oh, I just had another idea. What if, because Honor wasn't dead after the last desolation, right? So maybe Honor could interfere with Odium talking with Unmade, maybe. I don't know. Like, try and stop it through some...
Yeah, that's a good point.
Action of some sort.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
I feel like perfect gemstones would probably be able to separate, cut off people from being able to talk to the outside world. Just because they don't leak Stormlight, which makes me feel like investiture
That's
can't
true.
get in and out necessarily.
Mhm.
But their
And I
connection
think-
would still be through the spiritual realm. I don't think that
Yeah,
would
that's
necessarily
true.
be affected.
Possibly. Although I
that
think
is-
that
like I
may
said, I
have
can see it
had
going either way.
something. I think that may have had something
Yeah.
to do with what happened to really take us off track real quick for a sentence. What happened with
Okay.
Jezrien at the end? That like
Mhm.
the Oath Pact couldn't get to him because of whatever happened with that gemstone.
That's actually a really good point. They felt that, but then he was gone, and then they could
Yeah.
not feel him again, and then they passed out.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's my
I
leaning
think I'm with
on
you
that
there,
theory.
actually.
Yeah.
I'm with you too. Also, it would be dumb if you could seal an Unmade and they could still like do stuff, and Odium could still talk to them. That
Well, I don't think they could still
narratively,
do
that's kind of-
stuff, but
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I guess I was thinking of it from kind of a physicsy perspective, that if Odium could communicate with the Unmade, maybe the Unmade could communicate with other things. And I just don't think that should be possible, because that just all feels like the same mechanism, right?
yeah. Okay,
Mhm.
yeah. I do. Yeah. That's a good point.
So I would think then with Sja-anat that well, once Honor was dead, I don't really see any reason why Odium couldn't talk to Sja-anat until this true desolation. But it also feels like Odium was doing stuff. He's obviously was talking to Dalinar the whole time
Mhm.
in the book, so he had a role in a lot of stuff, and probably more stuff than we realize. So
I wonder if
What
the
was
Everstorm
she
had something to do
doing?
with that, though.
Oh, that's true.
how do you mean?
Well, because I wonder if Odium. We've seen so much more Odium in Oathbringer than we had like any influence from Odium in the past. I wonder if what Vinley was doing in summoning the Everstorm kind of opened up the path for Odium, kind of in the way that Vin does with the Well of Ascension and Ruin. That like the influence was there, but a lot more subtle until this kind of unlocked that pathway.
I am definitely with you,
Yeah.
because we see that Harmony is able to influence things where the mists are, and it's very clear that Odium's able to affect stuff in the Everstorm.
Yeah, I think
Right.
at one point it
Yeah.
said that he rides the winds of the Everstorm like Honor once did to the high storms. Like they are very
Right.
directly connected.
Right.
Yeah.
He can't talk to Teravagian until the Everstorm is over Urithiru.
Yeah.
And the window
he
opens.
can't. And Venli.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
Venli can only talk to him when there's an Everstorm.
That's true. Although Odium, well, I guess that wouldn't matter, because Odium could interfere with the Dalinar visions, which occurred in the high storms. So
I
am
think that's weirdness about the nature of the visions themselves.
I totally agree, and I also feel like this is one of those shardy things that could Odium, if he really wanted to, manifest in a certain place. Probably.
Create an
It's
avatar,
probably just
according to the dictionary definition.
right, yes. But I feel like that's just it's too much power for a shard to use, right? Especially when cultivation is around, that you don't want to expend yourself unnecessarily. So
Yeah.
it's just like, I'll just use the Everstorm.
Yeah, like
I'll just do
I don't think a shard can create a physical manifestation of themselves without making themselves vulnerable in some way. Though,
Sure. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
like,
I'm
this
with-
is
I'm
very
with that.
similar to the Mist Spirit from Mistborn.
Yeah.
And we saw this Mist Spirit. Well, actually, no. After Ruin was released, the only time we saw him was right before he died. So, okay. Circling back. That was a very long tangent.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was not a complete thought at all. So
No, it wasn't.
what's on your mind?
Okay. So I was going to say that, oh, well, maybe it doesn't open themselves up to being vulnerable because, oh, the Mist Spirit is around all the time. But then I realized that the only time we see the Mist Spirit after Ruin is released is right before Ruin kills him. And it's mentioned in that there has appeared to lend to bolster his spirits, and then that opened himself up to Ruin killing him ultimately.
True. It's also not a 1-to-1 comparison due to the particulars of the Mist Spirit. So, do we think Sja-anat learned this stuff? God. Sorry, let me phrase my question. Odium knew that she could actually enlighten an Oathgate spren, right?
Yeah.
I wonder why they couldn't do that before.
I feel like that has to do with Honor's death. I honestly do, that he was more involved and protected.
True.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because, I mean, if you send Sja-anat to corrupt all the Oathgate spren coming out of Erytheru, boom, desolation over, all your radiants are trapped. They gotta... suddenly you can't teleport all over the world. That's gonna be a big problem.
Clearly, the Oathgate spren had a strong relationship with Honor, as we see, because they're just like, he forbid us from doing this.
Yeah, he could directly interpose himself. Because an Unmade versus a Shard, the Shard's going to win. But now the Shard's not there.
Yeah,
that's true.
I wonder what Cultivation's doing.
like that.
I feel like she should be maybe helping out, but maybe she's busy doing whatever she's doing.
Maybe it was both of them working together, and she can't. She can't protect without opening herself up to attack.
Yeah,
it could be. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was saying they actually only corrupted one of the spren, if I recall correctly, too, since there were like 2 Sentinels, if I remember the description rightly.
Right.
So maybe they got the Honor one.
Tinged with red.
I don't recall it being that way, but it's possible I'm misremembering.
Let's look.
I think it was just one.
Yeah.
When we see them right after they go in part 3, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, minor callback tangent, quote from Hero of Ages. Either way, Preservation did appear, and in doing so exposed himself to Ruin's attacks. Direct quote. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Oathbringer quote, but it totally depends on if both of them were corrupted, but I was just thinking that if only one was corrupted, then one of the Oathgate spren could be more cultivation-y and the other one could be more honor.
That was my thought as well. Yeah. Oh, they are called Oathgates, which just sound a little more honorary, but
Well, I mean,
I think if only one was corrupted, the Oathgate would stop functioning.
One was pitch black in coloring, the other red.
Oh, okay.
So that's pretty clear. Because the other one's supposed to be white.
Okay, yeah. I definitely remembered that wrong, because I thought they were both black and white, tinged with like red running through them. No, that's the quote. I mean, unless there's more quotes, but this is the last one in part 3. I don't think there's anything right at the beginning of part 4. Okay, then I just am remembering things wrong.
Yeah, I can't really see in part 4 when we're in Adolin's first viewpoint, where if we see both of them.
My logic was just that if one of them was of like there would be not like a hung jury, but they would be at odds. Like neither one could get the upper hand to actually make it function.
Sure.
I just can't remember the word I want to use that describes this.
It kind of makes sense that the giant black spren and the Oathgate spren is the more cultivation-y one, maybe? Because ink spren, I tend to feel like the the orders that are on the left side is more related to cultivation than the ones on the right-hand side.
I would say lower left, upper right.
Yeah. But
sure.
Because cultivation spren is on the right side. FYI. Yes.
Yeah, that's edged answers.
Maybe I'm saying up and down.
Yeah,
up
I think
and
more.
down
I think more directly up and down is really my division with.
Yeah.
But either way.
Anyway,
yeah.
So that was a good conversation about the Oathgate, because I never really thought about one or both being corrupted, right? Alyx, why don't you read this quote that is Shallan talking with Sja-anat?
Sure. So, this is from chapter 84. It says, Shallan regarded the figure in the mirror. It had spoken. What are you? They call me the Taker of Secrets, the figure said. Or they once did. One of the Unmade, our enemies. We were made, then unmade, she agreed. But no, not an enemy. The figure turned human-like again, though the eyes remained glowing white. It pressed its hands against the glass. Ask my son, please. You're of him, Odium. The figure glanced to the sides as if frightened. No, I am of me. Now, only of me. Shallan considered, then looked at the keyhole. By using pattern in that, she could initiate the Oathgate. Don't do it, Sja-anat pled. Listen, Radiant. Listen to my plea. Ashert Marn fled on purpose. It is a trap. I was compelled to touch the spren of this device, so it will not function as you wish.
That was some good narration.
Yeah.
But also, it's like you read these out loud to your family, Alyx.
I was trying to decide if I wanted to do voices or not, and I was like, yeah, I'll just go for it.
Oh, yeah.
Might as well.
Show your stuff. So there's a lot to talk about in this quote.
Yeah.
So first, not necessarily of Odium. So that's one big thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
then there's Ask My Son.
My
Who
favorite
could that
topic. I feel like Sja-anat and I are like mothers-in-law because our sons are related very closely.
For those of you, if this is your first time hearing Alyx on a podcast, Alyx really likes Renarin, and they're referring to Sja-anat's son being Renarin's spren, Gliss. Presumably.
Yes, more than likely.
But it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear.
At this point, if it's not Gliss, Brandon's got some splaining to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would just be needlessly complex for no reason.
Yeah.
And Brandon can make things complex for good reasons. So,
yeah, definitely all signs point that this is Gliss. And I especially think that because of the way this is placed, in part 3, before we know that anything is up with Renarin, if you're not me and had a hunch the whole time.
That's true. You did, though. You did.
I did know the whole time. But yeah, you're definitely not supposed to know who this son she's talking about is. And then later, as you see, Renarin has something up with his spren, that's probably what Sja-anat was talking about. One of those, go back and connect the dots sort of moments.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Right. And we see Sja-anat corrupt tons of spren at Kholinar. And that's just what she does. She corrupts the lesser spren, and yeah, I would say it's pretty clear it's Gliss. I don't think there's a lot of controversy about that.
Which I feel like brings up some interesting questions in, was Gliss a willing participant in this? The fact that I'm almost inclined to think so, because Sja-anat says to ask him, as though he were going to vouch for her and say that,
That's
she's
true.
Trustworthy. I almost wonder if
is true.
Gliss and Sja-anat worked this out beforehand, that Sja-anat wanted to defect and Gliss was going to be the mediator or something. I don't know. It's
entirely possible.
There's some interesting questions there.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like that.
Although he doesn't seem to remember a terrible lot. Maybe he remembers more that he's letting on, or he'll recall more later as the bond progresses. But he seems confused about what he once was, even.
Yeah.
So I'd be surprised.
Well, getting that odious investiture injected into him was, even if it was consensual, it was probably a traumatic effect.
Oh, yeah, but I don't think he can answer some questions very clearly right now, at least.
Not right now.
That'd be so cool if this was
right?
like some grand pact between Gliss and Sja-anat. And
I
then
really like this
Gliss
idea.
just couldn't remember because it was really traumatic. Oh, man, that's cool.
Well, and like
I
we
want
said, there's a good chance that Gliss is the first spren that this has happened to. The first, like, upper levels. I don't want it. What is the term we're
True
using?
spren.
True spren. Cool. Good. True spren. That this has happened to. So maybe neither of them knew what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with that statement, Alex.
I absolutely agree with that statement.
And do we want to just read that quote right now, because we're kind of on that topic on Renarin.
I had one more thing I was going to say, if I can remember what it was. I do have the theory that resurrecting a dead Shardblade, Sja-anat could be a factor there. That just having someone swear the oaths wouldn't be enough, but perhaps through her manipulation of investiture, like, she can provide something that's missing. Maybe that's what happened to Gliss. Maybe Gliss was a dead spren that she resurrected, and that's why his memory is so fuzzy.
That would be crazy. That would be legit crazy.
Going for Adeline, though.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to just immediately talk about Alex's point about this being the first true spren that Sja-anat has corrupted. And we see in the part 3 epigraphs where we get they're the radiant gemstones that we see. In drawer 30-20, which, by the way, is the exact same one where we hear about the strike force against Ba'ed Mishram.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge deal. It's crazy.
Important drawer.
It's really important. The most important drawer there. And it says, "Don't tell anyone. I can't say it. I must whisper. I foresaw this." Oh, and it's a particularly small emerald, which, by the way, is a truth watcher.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I don't believe the Mythica quote, because I think that the Radiants were concealing that it could happen. I think they didn't want anyone to know that they could be corrupted, that their spren could be corrupted.
I wonder if it takes a willing spren. I wonder if people say, "Oh, she can't corrupt your spren," because your spren would have to, like, agree to it, and most of the Radiants aren't going to do that. So it's like, "Oh, well, you're safe.
True.
Don't worry. It's fine." But if someone agreed to let it happen, I wonder if she would be able to do that then.
That's true.
Yeah, intention is important.
Yes, that's right. Capital I intent, not shard intent. That's right. Hey. So I think this quote is very clear that emerald, that truth watcher in the past, right before the Recreants, had the same thing that's happening to Renarin as... that's the same thing.
I agree.
It's
not
highly
totally
probable.
I think it's pretty probable. So there's kind of two questions there. So David thinks that Sja-anat could always do this, theoretically, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of a spren kind of agreeing to it, because there's a lot of that time is not particularly great for the Radiants. There's lots of crap going down, as we see in the part 3 epigraphs with the sibling receding and such. So, I mean, I do like that idea. I wonder if there's something else, because there could be something else. Because Ba'ed Mishram couldn't connect with the singers before, and in that 2,500 years or so since the last desolation, to the false desolation recreants time frame, maybe they both could have learned more things. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's always the possibility that this Truth Watcher was bonded to Gliss in the past. Spren do
That's
live
totally
a long
true.
time.
That's totally true. Man, whoa. So if that was the case, which would be crazy, then I'm just imagining this Radiant bonding this corrupted Spren, betraying oaths. He's a dead Shardblade. Then Sja-anat comes back and infuses more odious investiture into Gliss and brings Gliss back to life.
Oh my god.
That's where it breaks down a little, I would think.
Well, because wouldn't Gliss just be around for 2,000 years then? And why wouldn't Gliss just bond another person? They totally could. There's nothing stopping them, right? That's
or
why
what if,
I think it's got.
We don't know where Sja-anat has been for the last 2,000 years.
Well, that's certainly true.
What if he was just living with mom?
Not doing much. Needed to get a job, get out of the house.
Yeah.
Go find a
Bond a
Radiant
Radiant.
Gliss. Come on.
I guess you're right, because if Gliss was in the cognitive and then moved to the physical, then he'd forget things. But I really like the idea that moment of the odious investiture really made Gliss not remember, even if it was consensual, perhaps.
Yeah.
For him to be infused
Yeah.
with that. So
It's I like conflicting theories that I like different theories
Totally.
for different reasons, but they can't jive together just yet.
we are definitely getting to the stage where we're talking about weird Oathbringer stuff that's we don't really know. So we're just
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of spitballing and seeing what we
Throw
think.
stuff to the wall, see what sticks, pretty much.
I wonder, does Odium know about Gliss?
Ooh,
Has
that's a
Sja-anat
question.
kept that from Odium somehow?
That's an incredibly fun question to think about and potentially write fanfics about.
Because
Immediately where my mind goes.
we do know that in the diagram, when Odium goes to meet Taravangian and does that whole whoosh of text and
Right.
stuff, that
Expanding it, yeah.
that Renarin's name is in black,
Yep.
and so I think
That does seem to indicate that he wouldn't know.
yeah.
It's also very clear that Odium cannot read minds. Sja-anat couldn't do the things she does if Odium could do that, right?
No.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, no. That'd be hard
There's
to be
also the
deceptive if he could
fact that-
just.
He fell for Shallan's let's tell everyone I'm an else caller nonsense. So
Yeah.
apparently he doesn't see illusions very well either, or just wasn't paying that
Well,
much attention.
That probably
But
could
yeah,
just be that
I think, can't read minds.
he can't really observe the world in a perfect way unless
Right.
he's through the Everstorm, right?
Yeah.
So you could lose a lot of minutia even if Odium's extremely powerful and very skilled. Also, probably because any minor tendrils of his influence, cultivation basically immediately slaps back, right?
Mhm.
I
And
would
there's also
think
the fact that Shallan is a Lightweaver, and we've seen her using her Surgebinding be quieter and harder to detect, so it's possible he
that's a
can't
big
detect
point,
her very
yeah. Yep.
easily.
Yep.
Yeah,
Good point.
that's totally true.
Yeah, he probably has to rely on mortal emissaries to do the information gathering.
Yeah, probably.
Because at this point, Amarum had already gone over to Odium, right? I would think.
I believe there was something that made me that gave me an idea of when he flipped, and I can't remember what it was, but there's yeah.
It's really not clear,
Yeah.
right?
Because as far as
Yeah.
Amarum knows, she's a else color.
Mhm.
Right. Sure.
And so Amarum would be like, oh yeah, she's an else color, trying to be all helpful. But he's
Mhm.
wrong.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So I think there's plenty of reasons for why Odium couldn't. There would be some holes in what he knows.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine that this betrayal of Sja-anat is very surprising to Odium, and maybe he doesn't know exactly what's happening yet.
He's suspicious of her, she mentions at once. When she's sending that corrupted glory spren to talk to them in part 4 in Shadesmar.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
But he's not sure.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Here's a question. Do we trust Sja-anat?
I
then?
do. Well,
with my life. With my son's life.
I
what if
trust
Odium
that
compelled
she
her to
is
destroy you?
earnest in her desire to
Yes.
join the heroes. But at this stage of the game, she is still a splinter of Odium. So she would not willingly act against their interests, but Odium is a factor.
Mm. Yeah, I'm gonna request like a sit down with Sja-anat and a little explanation on why she's now just of herself, because that all sounds awful convenient to me. I think that at the very least that she thinks that she wants to join them. At this stage in time, I do not think that it is going to go smoothly, and we're going to have a really fun Unmade partner that's just going to join the team. It'll be all happy-go-lucky. Something will go wrong, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
On the other hand, Szeth joined up pretty easily. So,
not my favorite part either.
The Radiants are maybe not vetting their new incoming allies quite as well as they perhaps should.
I think that's mostly we haven't seen the fallout of Szeth
True.
joining
That's
yet.
true.
Yeah,
That's
I
I feel
feel
like that was a sick joke.
There were
Navani
extenuating
right there.
circumstances.
I wonder if Navani is just like hanging out with Dalinar going like, man, when are we going to talk about this?
Yeah, I don't know. But going back to the Sja-anat being of herself now, I don't think mechanically she's any less of Odium now than she was before when you're just talking about the investiture that suffuses her. I think she's more philosophically like, no, I'm not working for him. Like I work for myself.
Oh, so you think it's like that it's just all her, like she has changed her mind and decided to switch sides, not that something has fundamentally altered her in any way.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because that was always my take on it, but that was just my initial assumption that I hadn't questioned since then. So
because going back to Mistborn again, there's a conversation between Tensoon and Vin in Well of Ascension that like, humans in Kolos are of ruin, but the Kandra are of preservation. Now, Kandra are hemalurgic constructs. Like, they very much depend on ruin for their entire existence. But philosophically, they were preservation sleeper agents against ruin. Like, they...
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point.
that's true.
So, yes, there's the mechanical investiture that suffuses a being, and then their philosophical outlook on, okay, who do they actually like and follow.
I totally agree. I think that Sja-anat is earnest, but I absolutely think we will get to a point where Odium compels Sja-anat to do some stuff to our heroes that is really bad.
Yeah.
My
Which,
favorite kind of plotline.
and this kind of ties into a theory of mine that perhaps after that, they're going to find out a way for Sja-anat to corrupt herself with like honor and cultivation investiture.
Whoa.
Like,
That'd be crazy.
which would like severely limit Odium's ability to do that. Like, she would truly become herself.
Write your Dalinar Sja-anat ship right now.
Wow. Oh no.
Yeah,
Is
because
that a good idea
okay.
for you, Alyx?
yeah, because right now,
Because then Sja-anat could be Renarin's mom. Easy.
Yeah, I didn't realize we'd reached the stage of Unmade shipping.
okay,
There you go. I'm giving that
to
one.
continue my point,
Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
because right now Odium can just influence Sja-anat uncontested because she is 100% of him. But if she gets some cultivation her, then cultivation can be like, no, she partially belongs
True.
to me now. Like, you can't do that.
Well, that does depend on the specifics of how the Unmade were created, right?
True.
Mm-hmm.
Which
we know
don't
so
know
well.
what-
Yeah.
They were
We
made
don't know what-
and then they were unmade.
Like, what the crap does that mean? We have no idea what that means, right?
Well, if they were
so
created as the Dawn Shards and then Odium did something to them, unmade them.
If that's what
I
you
don't know
buy.
about that.
If that's
Yeah.
what
I
you
don't know
buy,
about that.
which I
I
kind of
don't
do.
buy that. I don't buy that personally, but yeah. So like that kind of depends on that. I kind of see Sja-anat kind of like Marsh in Hero of Ages, only a little more empathetic than Marsh.
Yeah. Oh,
Just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Hey, yeah.
Mhm.
It's exactly that kind of mechanic there.
Yeah.
One other thing about Sja-anat is that the Ghostbloods know about Sja-anat, which is kind
What
of
don't
crazy.
the Ghostbloods know about?
I was gonna say this is kind of their MO. Like, Maurice is not scary because he's got like a blow dart gun and knows how to torture people. Maurice is scary because he knows things. This
Yeah.
is
Mhm.
it's how he threatens people. Oh, I know things about your family. Oh, I know things about you. Oh, I know things about the Unmade and the Heralds and where they can find them and how to bait them. Like, that's why the
Mhm.
Ghostbloods.
See, in my opinion,
freaky.
Raised isn't as
They know too
scary
much.
as Eotl. Eotl
True.
is a scary one.
I do agree.
Which she was criminally absent from this book.
That's true.
I know.
angry
I
about
was
that.
bummed.
But you know what? The Ghostbloods were criminally absent in this book.
Also true.
Amen. Amen. It's true.
Yeah.
If there wasn't
It's
Renarin POV
really
in this
true.
book, I would have rioted because of lack of Ghostbloods. But
But you got your Renarin POV.
I
so
did,
it's
which
11
is all
out of
I'd
10,
ever
so you-
wanted.
No, perfect book. Perfect book.
speaking of,
You're just gonna be. Do we have any thoughts on the Ghostblood stuff before we talk about?
Well, I
Renarin?
think it just makes sense. Like, they are a world hopping organization. They can go to Shadesmar and find stuff out. It makes sense that they are more in the know than other organizations on Roshar.
I guess
Yeah,
it's just crazy that humans would know of this, but this plan wouldn't get by Odium. But Odium's suspicious of Sja-anat, so that's fine. They can both know, right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of think like my anticipation, which means that it's probably not going to be right, is that what's going to happen is Shallan is going to end up inadvertently pissing off Sja-anat while trying to either recruit or capture her for the Ghostbloods, and that's when things are going to go south. It's because she's going to break her trust or something, and that's not going to be a pretty situation at the end. But
Could be fun.
There's
I just
There's a
want
lot of-
Sja-anat to be happy.
Same.
Like, her dad's an awful guy. I just want her to get out of that situation.
oh yeah,
yeah. Odium's has a very controlling relationship.
It's a very overbearing father, and she never lived up to her older sister by the Mishram.
That's
It's a
true.
tough time.
That's true.
Maybe she and
I know.
Shallan can bond about that. I mean,
Oh man. There's so much we could talk about on where the Ghostbloods arc should go.
Mhm.
Maybe that should be a podcast.
I was gonna say, if y'all do a Ghostbloods podcast, I'm there.
just have a Ghostblood.
Well, we are going to have a Secret Societies one, right?
That's true, but I feel like we could talk about the Ghostbloods a lot.
That could spin off pretty easy. Yeah.
Yeah,
If we have
we'll
Alyx,
see how it goes.
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Alyx,
Is it time now?
it's time because obviously Sja-anat corrupted Gliss, and so why don't you tell us what happened in Oathbringer with Renarin with regards to his power? Not everything.
All right, I'm cracking my metaphorical knuckles over here. I don't actually know how to crack my kneckles, so we're not doing it.
Neither
for
do
real.
I.
Either I can't do
Not a
that.
fan.
I also can't snap my fingers.
I
It's
can
impossible
snap
for me
it
to
with
do.
one hand, but not the other.
No, I've
so
never been able to
sweet.
snap. I can't.
I
do
guess
it.
since I can do both of those things, I'm just super talented.
Yes, you are.
Can you roll your tongue, though?
No, and I can't whistle very well, so let that
I
Take
can't
that.
whistle. I can roll my tongue, though. This is a strange tangent, so...
This is a strange
I was going to say,
Alex, tell
back
us about
to
Renarin.
the important issues here. So, Renarin,
Right.
I had long had a theory that something was up with Renarin, that his powers were not normal Truthwatcher powers, that those visions that he was getting were not Surgebinding, or at least were not normal Surgebinding. And yeah, that is exactly what happened. And I was pretty dang pleased with Oathbringer for proving me right
You
there.
had this theory in 2014.
Yes.
When Birds of Radiance came out. But let's just be clear here.
Time ago, yes. And for those people who were like really surprised by it, there definitely was lots of foreshadowing. The involuntary nature of these visions, the fact that Renarin didn't seem to be able to control himself during them, the fact that like everyone and their Axehound has been telling us that seeing the future is evil and of the Voidbringers and of Odium and don't do it, and they have this huge cultural fear. And then we have a character who's doing it against their will. Like, that just doesn't seem very Surgebindy to me.
Mhm.
And there have been some red herrings to kind of throw us off this trail. For one, Renarin said that as a Truthwatcher, he sees, which I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, cool, it's part of his powers, he's fine. Yeah, but we see that...
Probably doesn't even know what that means, right?
Right. And I wonder if he... I have so many thoughts. But, okay, I gotta keep organized. We know that the appearance of his spren was a big thing. That was another thing I was paying attention to during Oathbringer, the fact that we never saw Gliss, and the fact that they kept mentioning what Truthwatcher spren looked like, so that when we saw Gliss, we would see that he didn't match. So, my personal theory of what is going on with Renarin, I believe that Gliss is a Truthwatcher spren, which are as of yet unnamed. People have tossed Mist Spren around as a potential, but
Ian, mostly.
I don't like that because I did ask Brandon directly, and he said he wasn't ready to canonize it yet, which makes me feel like he hasn't decided. So anyway, it could end up being Mist Spren.
I have quibbles about that, but
we'll see. But yes, I do believe he is a Truthwatcher spren who has been corrupted by Sja-anat, enlightened, whatever she wants to call it, very possibly willingly going into this. I like that theory more and more. And because of this, I believe that Renarin gets the full suite of Truthwatcher powers from his spren, who is valid Truthwatcher, but because of the corruption, there's like extra sort of odious influence that comes in. I tend to think that he has two surges that are independent of the corruption, that he can do both. We've definitely seen him do healing. It's a little bit up in the air whether or not we've seen him do illumination on screen. Some people, I tend to think that his scene with Adolin in part 1 is an example of him using both progression and illumination. Some people think he just uses progression there. It's up for interpretation, not totally clear. So
it is clear, though, that he can use at least 100% progression.
Yes.
With regular Stormlight just as normal. So that's an important thing to realize, that he can use Surgebinding normally. In that respect.
I know at the very first, when we realized that Gliss was not, that there was something different about Gliss, I thought Gliss might be a Void spren, and thought that perhaps maybe Renarin was like a master of the Void illumination and had just been like covering up all of the Void stuff he was doing with that illumination. I was like, that could be really cool, but that is not the case. He does actually use Stormlight. We can see in his point of view, not up for debate. Could have been cool, but that's not what's going on. So, yeah, so I tend to think that he has both of his surges, and then also these visions kind of get co-opted, and I think perhaps illumination is what he's kind of unconsciously using to display them around him, although maybe not necessarily, because he seems to be the only one who sees them, whereas Shallan's illusions are visible to everyone. She doesn't have the option of like making things appear just for her. So
Yeah.
I think that's. I think that ability is the Void Truth Watcher resonance, in that we know that every order has a resonance, that so they have 2 surges and an extra ability, whatever that is. So I think instead of getting the normal Truth Watcher ability, whatever that is, he gets this ability to see the future. And I think the visions, the way they're displayed, is in just interacting with his natural brain chemistry. Because, like, we know he had seizures before. Like, I don't know if it was epilepsy or something.
It was epilepsy.
Yes,
so it's like
epilepsy.
it's just
Yes.
interacting with his epilepsy in a interesting way and to this dramatic effect.
Possible.
Oh snap! There was something about that I wanted to comment on. And it's gone. Dang it.
Just so everyone knows, we had a section on Renarin, and we just said in our doc, let Alyx talk. There's no outline at all. It's just like, Alyx will just take care of it.
But yeah, I do think Renarin has like all of the normal Truth Watcher powers. There have been some people who think that like the illumination is void and the progression is normal, and he has like one of each. But I tend to think that it's like he gets both normal and a little extra. Oh, I remembered what it was. You were talking about the resonances. I tend to think he probably has the Truth Watcher resonance, because I'm pretty sure that it is an increased ability to see when people are lying. Based on what Stump says.
We have discussed that
yeah,
before.
And he definitely seems to tune into Adolin around the investigation with Sadeas. Renarin seems to almost immediately know what's going on there, which leads me to believe
that is a
that's
very
fine.
good point.
Yeah. But I think that this could be sort of a void, a resonance between the void and the void binding and the surge binding, that definitely thing. We know that resonance aren't just a thing that happened with Knights Radiant. It's any time like powers are interacting with each other anywhere in the Cosmere. So
Yep, that's true. That's true with Allomancy and Ferrochemy. That's the classic.
Now I really want to see the resonance that come about when a misting becomes a Knights Radiant.
Could
That'll
be
be
a while
something.
on that one, but that would be really fun.
I don't know if Brandon's outlined those ones.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Just need an encyclopedia of resonances, like when you mix all of the magics, what you can get.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't think Brandon has even figured out all of them for Mistings and Fairings.
Yeah, I think they
If you're
do.
in a
He mentioned they do
Lantrian-
cancel out, though. If there's like enough powers, you kind of get nothing. Like
I was
Mistborns
gonna
don't
say,
have.
like, if you're in a Lantrian with
Mistborns
50
don't have like
breaths
16 resonance. Yeah.
and 2 spikes and a spren bond, like what you got?
Which,
a
like, I
giant
think
spreadsheet.
a misting plus a Nahil bond. I don't
That's
think
possible,
that would be too much.
Yeah.
So let's see. This might transition well next time too. Although, I do want to point out how impressed I am that you figured out the whole Renarin thing early, because when I had finished the end of Words of Radiance, I missed the reveal about Renarin and was just fully still on board with the fact that Dalinar had done it. And I was like, man, they kind of forgot about that at the end.
There's a
And
lot of
just did
people who
not
did not
even-
realize that Renarin was
Yeah.
supposed to be the one who was doing all of that.
Writing the
It wasn't
numbers
made
and stuff,
exceptionally clear.
It was a little subtle
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah, but anyway, my general perspective is that Renarin is a Voidbinder, and this is what Voidbinding is. It's a corrupted Nahel spren, and that's what he's doing. He uses Stormlight because that's how it works, because it's originally a Nahel spren that has been corrupted. I tend to think that both his surges are just the Void surges, like Void versions of his surge binding, but they're not going to appear terribly different because we've seen the Fused use more or less very similar surges to surge binding. So
that is true.
We have a general understanding that the powers are kind of separate from however you're accessing them.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like that's how it is. Renarin is just a Voidbinder, and that is why I believe that in the past there were other corrupted Spren and Radiants, because they've seen Voidbinding before. And my biggest piece of evidence that I have, in addition to what we've talked about before, is when Renarin shows up to the Oathgate at the end, the Fused all fly over to say hi and salute him, which makes you think that they recognize what he is and that the chasm...
Wait, they do?
They salute him.
They do,
yes. Chapter 120.
Oh.
Terrified, he strode down the street, summoning Gliss as a Shardblade. As he approached the ramp to the Oathgate, the Fuse descended. 4 landed on the ramp before him, then gave him a gesture not unlike a salute, humming to a frantic tune he did not know. They know what he is. They've seen it before.
Yeah, I guess so. Wow, that's really explicit.
I totally never
Me
read
too.
I missed that.
I didn't make the connection that it might
have
have been something that they'd seen before. That's a good point.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so...
And Renarin being a Voidbinder is heavily supported by Word of Brandon. Because if you go back to the firefight tour, Argent asked a question about Renarin, which he was sworn to secrecy
secret page.
about.
Yes.
Yes.
Argent's
And
secret page.
That's right.
Brandon has since given him permission to divulge this, which he has. And he asked what's going on with Renarin and his visions. And Brandon directed him to what has colloquially been termed the Voidbinding chart in the back end pages of The Way of Kings. And later on, a couple years later, Brandon was asked about the said chart, and he's like, oh yeah, that's about Voidbinding. That's related to Voidbinding. So you put those two things together, Renarin is related to this chart that is about Voidbinding. He's Voidbinder.
Let's dive into Voidbinding. I have really no criticism with what Alyx said on Renarin, but that's mostly because whenever I have any thought on Renarin, Alyx corrects me. So I'm just like, yep, I agree with you, Alyx. I have nothing more to add. You're completely correct in every way, and
that's what we like to hear.
When you're wrong, I will be very surprised. In other words. So with that, let's just talk about Voidbinding, because Voidbinding is one of the weirdest things, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I will say,
in a lot of respects,
by the time that I'd finished Oathbringer and was trying to get my thoughts straight on what I thought was going on with Renarin, I eventually decided that he probably wasn't a Voidbinder. And so all of these kind of words of Brandon have I'm like, well, they do really seem to point that way. But to me, it seemed logical. Okay, the Fused have things that look like surges, so that's got to be Voidbinding. And I don't think there's a corrupted spren involved with the Fused. That wasn't the idea that I got from that. Possibly, but we didn't see anything about that, which made me think, oh, Renarin's just something different. But then maybe not. I don't know. Voidbinding has me throwing my hands up in the air.
Can you hold that thought about the Fused? Can you hold that thought about the Fused for a second?
Because, I've been holding it for months. Don't worry.
Okay. Because there are exactly 2 times that Voidbinding is mentioned in the text. 2. Well, 3 of them are Ars Arcanum, so I'm grouping those all as 1. And there's only one other time, David, and it's Way of Kings chapter 18, of all things.
A little ways ago, yeah.
And that's the only time outside of the Ars Arcanum that Voidbinding has ever been mentioned. Why don't you read that to us?
Me? Alrighty. Here we go. This is when Adolin is meeting with the Ardent, Kadash, who had a bigger part in Oathbringer, asking what he thinks about his father's madness and all that stuff for a little bit of context for people who haven't read The Way of Kings in a while. But the problem, Bright One, Kadash said, was mysticism. The priest claimed that common men could not understand religion or the Almighty. Where there should have been openness, there was smoke and whispers. The priest began to claim visions and prophecies, though such things had been denounced by the heralds themselves. Voidbinding is a dark and evil thing, and the soul of it was to try to divine the future. And that's all we got.
in that it's actually interesting. I don't know if this matters, but the mention of smoke is kind of interesting because we know smoke form is a form of power.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that is relevant here, but I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah. I think it's more just a turn of phrase.
Probably with the like smoke and mirrors and stuff with the hierarchy. Yeah, that's the only one we get. It's about divining the future, but who knows how much that knowledge has been, warped, right?
Oh yeah.
So our other Voidbinding quote is from the Ars Arcanum, and Ian, why don't you read this?
I'm not certain yet how the 10 levels of Voidbinding, or its cousin, the Old Magic, fit into this paradigm, if indeed they can. My research suggests that, indeed, there should be another series of abilities that is even more esoteric than the Voidbindings. Perhaps the Old Magic fits into those, though I'm beginning to suspect that it is something entirely different.
Which it is, we think.
Yeah.
Well,
it's not a magic system. It's like cultivation spren granting wishes like a genie.
Or is it?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's direct shardic intervention.
Yeah.
What I was thinking about there is there should be another series of abilities even more esoteric than the Voidbinding.
Yeah.
It's just like, wait, what?
I can't even follow what it's like saying, so...
Yeah, I think it's Fabrials, like, to be honest. I think it's just Fabrials.
Okay, all right. Here's the central question, guys.
Hold up. I think I have one more quote that is relevant because my encyclopedic knowledge of Renarin quotes came in handy as we were reading this.
Of course.
So this is while they're talking about Dalinar's visions kind of after they've figured out that they're probably not something he's making up.
Mm-hmm.
In Way of Kings.
And yes, so he's talking with Dalinar and Renarin, actually. And Avani says, Dalinar, the Warcamps speak of your episodes. Even the wives of your officers are uncomfortable. They think you fear the storms or that you have a disease of the mind. This will vindicate you. Dalinar says, how? By making me into some kind of mystic? Many will think that the breeze of these visions blows too close to prophecy. And notably, Renarin says here, you see the past, Father. That is not forbidden. And if the Almighty sends them, then how could men question? Which seems... I mean, we know that, like, seeing the future is forbidden, but this idea of, like, seeing the past is okay, but that seeing the future is what's forbidden, I almost wonder if Renarin has started having future visions at this point and is, like, mentioning it almost to himself.
Yeah, it's possible. I think that's
more...
Renarin
says it is interesting.
Yeah, I think it's more a loophole than anything. It's not like it's expressly stated, seeing the past is okay. It's just, it's not explicitly saying, and seeing the past is bad too.
Right.
Yeah, because I've kind of thought in the past too, and this is a little off topic, that if the Truth Watcher Resonance isn't telling what people are lying or not, that maybe that they could see the past, and that the corruption allows them to see the future with going into Odium has always been something that I wondered about.
So here's my question for you guys.
Yes.
Is Voidbinding what the Fused use?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I feel
think
like
this is a really central question.
I mean, that's one that I'm going to have a hard time letting go of. Like, the names are so similar with Surgebinding and Voidbinding, and then we have the powers appearing very similar. We have the charts that are set up in a similar way. Like,
the Fused use Voidlight?
Yeah.
Like, it's called Voidlight. That's
I just
what it's
cannot
called.
believe that all of those Surge-like powers are not the thing that has been set up into the rigid system of Voidbinding that we have seen so many hints of. Like, if that's not the case, it might not be the case, but that's going to be a hard one for me to swallow until we've got direct evidence against it.
I think that they might be a hack of Voidbinding, sort of.
What do you mean?
Because we've seen Surgebinding being granted through two different ways. The Honor Blades and the Nihil Bond.
Yeah.
What if that the fused are basically the Honor Blade equivalent? That there's the monkeying that Odium did turned them into cognitive shadows, granted them these abilities. But it's Voidbinding, but it's not necessarily from the same source as Renarin's Voidbinding. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's kind of how I've honestly looked at it, Ian. In my opinion, is that what the fused have is not so much a natural magic system, in my opinion, so much as it is something that Odium did to them. He granted them these powers directly, and which is also kind of
do not have a spren.
Yeah, which also kind of ties in with my continuing curiosity about the fact that we still haven't seen a fused use two surges on screen at the same time, which still leads me to wonder if they only have access to one each individually.
And there's only 9 flavors of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm kind of on the same track, but I think I lean a lot more toward the fused being the natural expression of Voidbinding, and Renarin being more the hack and sort of edgy weird case.
Yeah.
Because I really do still like the idea that Renarin's the first Knight Radiant that this has happened to. I know there's the Emerald, but I still don't necessarily think that that person was actually seeing the future. I think it might be a red herring.
What else could it mean, Alyx?
I think they just sort of predicted it. And I think it's there to make you not question that something's weird with Renarin.
Yeah.
I think it has more of a meta purpose than an in-universe
you think
purpose.
that's what it is? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a little more of a red herring. But anyway, it could be legit.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's more like deductive reasoning and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's foreshadowing for Renarin being weird, not a red herring.
Possible.
It could go.
I think that's what that means.
Hard to tell.
I think that's what that means.
Anyway,
my problem with the fused being Voidbinders is that, and this is tough to say because we only get one person on screen talking about Voidbinding. I feel like Voidbinding is something that humans did, because if it wasn't, why are people not pointing at these evil demons doing magic and going, "Oh damn, that guy's Voidbinding. Look at those Voidbinders over there." They never get. No one ever says, "Oh, look at the void bindings." They're not. No one's making that connection when it should be very intuitive in world, in my opinion. So that's my hesitation on calling them void binders.
Also, here's another thing. Chris says 10 levels of void binding. 10. There's 9 fused orders.
The chart has
9.
10 things.
The chart definitely does have 10, which is weird. In that respect,
the whole level.
I will say we know
weird.
That.
Yeah.
There were humans who joined with Odium. So it's possible that the fused kind of get void binding naturally, but there's also possibly a way that humans can get it too. That maybe does not involve a corrupted Nihil spren. It could involve the void spren in particular.
That's actually exactly what I wanted to talk about, because I just wanted to tell the listeners kind of what's going on with the forms of power with the singers. Just that the forms of power with the singers, one that Venli gets, for example, is just the singer bonding with a void spren, and that's granting them more abilities than they normally would. If you look at the listener songs, some of them are very powerful. Venli's is powerful, but not offensive, right?
Yeah.
It's not
going to hurt you.
An attacky sort of thing, right? But
well, she can say mean things. That hurts.
It can be offensive. That's true.
Sticks and stones.
I tended to side on the idea that some of these more fanciful things like night form and smoke form probably require void light, because they seem very powerful.
OP, please nerf. meets
And,
Odium.
absolutely.
Singers,
Because
singers that have a form of power are called Regals. Just so we're on that page.
If you want to read more, check out the Voidbringer article on the Coppermine wiki. There's an in-depth
Nice
explanation.
plug.
There we go.
Written by you.
Yeah, I know, but
okay, so I think those forms of power absolutely require void light, because Bide-O-Mishram was connecting to the Parsh, supplying void light in forms of power. There were no fused around, so why would her supply of void light be such a thing if forms of power didn't use it?
Totally correct.
Maybe
Because no. The part 3 epigraphs say they wanted to remove the supply of void light from the enemy.
But in my opinion, we see Regals in Stormform, Venli in Envoy form for most of the book, and we never see her at any point have to make use of void light to do her translations.
True.
They never
not requiring
they're
void
not
light
doing
is weird.
to shoot lightning bolts, to do their little Spider-Man hand thing to climb down the chasms. There's no mention of using void light.
True.
So I kind of feel like the void light in the line where it mentions, it's kind of talking about void light and facilitating forms of power. So in my opinion, void light might be a way to get a form of power, and not necessarily something that they need once they have it.
That's a good point.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
I feel like the only thing that I'm really sure about with void binding is that I don't have enough information to be sure of anything.
I will point out that conventionally, singers change forms at the moment where gemstones are infused. Like in the High Storm. And there's storm light
kind of like a
being
light
shoved everywhere.
requirement there.
So that is a very good point. That they require Investiture to change forms.
I'm just looking at decay form. Decay form destroys the souls of dreams. Okay, that sounds nice. Just like that's
Very
the first
pleasant.
line. It's crazy.
Goodness.
Seek not its touch, nor beckon its screams. Deny it. They're crazy powerful. I don't know. But I feel like void light's important somehow. But you're right; it isn't clear how it's used. So, getting back to my question on are the fused void binders, okay? It doesn't quite fit because Chris says 10 levels of void binding. That's what she says, right?
Yes.
So, what if the series of abilities even more esoteric than void bindings is what the fuse use?
But they only have 9 of them. There's still only 9.
I don't know, but it would be another series that's not the 10 levels of void binding. That's why I'm bringing it up.
But there's only 9 categories still.
Hold up. Remind me where we get the 9 number. Is that from Moash? Saying he's only seen 9 types? Because if these are like Radiants, we could have kind of a Bondsmith equivalent. Like maybe the 10th type, there's only 3 of them. So Moash had not seen any of those.
But it makes sense that Odium's
but yes, 9 is a very odious number.
Because that's his number.
Often it
I
is
just wouldn't take Moash
asymmetrical.
having counted them himself as hard set canon.
Yeah.
True.
Well,
and
now I'm word searching the word 9.
oh, you're gonna get a lot of
9,
results.
9?
Yeah, and it's possible even that Chris is wrong. Like she is not
Also
infallible.
true.
She is still figuring this out.
Yeah.
So
She's operating
The charts
off of
are in
in-world
universe too, aren't they?
information.
Like even the
Yes.
void binding
I-
chart could be wrong, right?
Yeah.
Trust nothing.
I would be a lot less happy if the void binding chart is
I would also
wrong
be
because it
upset if
looks
the void
cool.
binding
I'd be
chart
kind of
is
bummed,
wrong.
but
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see the Ars Arcanum for book 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Though
I
that
guess.
Really
depends
didn't
on
get a lot of new stuff.
yeah, depending on are they going to tell people about Renarin? Because he has a
Boy,
hard
that's
enough
a
time
question.
already.
Yeah, I could see them. Oh, I don't think they're going to share that. That would floor me if they were like, hey, by the way, our buddy's corrupted by Odium, his spren, but he's cool. Don't worry about him,
Yeah,
you know?
but also look at the situation. Hiding things got them.
Yeah.
Like, it almost
No, that's
destroyed their coalition. Do
I
they
feel like
really want to
Jasna
risk
might
that
do
again?
some research on her own with Renarin first before deciding whether to tell people, because that feels like kind of the Jasna move.
I wish Jasna just knew what it was, and she'd been like, at the end of the book, just been like, oh, by the way, Renarin, this is what you are. I figured it out already, you know? And we all would have had an answer.
Jasna is awesome, but she is not perfect. Sacrilege
If
that
only.
may be.
I know, yeah.
I mean, she did
It does
come
appear that the
Oh, go ahead.
sorry, you can go on. I just finished going through all the instances of 9 and Oathbringer, so no big deal.
I was just gonna say, like, Jasna did come up with the idea that the best plan to stop the desolation was to kill all the heralds, which may not have been the greatest.
We are going to have a podcast about that because that sounds like a crap plan, by the
I
way.
was gonna say, like, signs of Jasna's
That is a Sons of Honor level plan right there. That's a Sons of Honor plan.
Low blow.
Right there. That's a crap plan.
Mean.
That's a crap plan. I'm sorry.
She's not as bad as the
Terrible.
Sons of Honor.
I know.
Okay, it's a
nobody's
little
as
better
bad
than
as the
that, but
Sons
not
of
much better.
Honor.
I wonder
Well,
what
the
they are doing
Invisitors-
now.
I would say the
Anyway.
Invisitors are pretty far down there.
They're trying. They're working
I
with
have
what
an
they got.
amazing idea for a YouTube video. That's just, what are the worst plans in the Cosmere? Let's rate them on a scale and order them. Invisitors, Sons of Honor, really low down there. But yes, so Moash he is the one who says there were 9 orders of them. Why not 10? But this is at the end, right when he's about to kill Yezrian, so I mean, there could be a 10th, but 9, yeah.
It fits thematically,
It does. It
Mhm.
totally
which
does.
lends weight to his observation.
Yeah.
I feel like we're at the point where, like, both sides just have a list of pros and cons on them. And to me, neither seems like it's really that much better or worse. Like, could be 10, could be 9, could be the
Right,
fused,
yeah.
could be something else. Like,
So, okay, let's just parse out Voidbinding. I would think Voidbinding would be what the humans who came from Ashen used. That's how they accessed the surges, through Voidbinding. That's just kind of an etymological reason, but
I'll
voidish
call that
stuff
bet.
tends to be odium, right? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not totally sold on that, but I don't think that the humans who came from Ashen did not access the surges the same way that Surgebinders do.
Oh.
That was not formal Surgebinding.
Yeah, for sure not.
So, because, and to the listener, that's because the spren mimicked the honor blades and that bond. So we know that in the first desolation before the heralds, there was no surge binding in the traditional sense that we think of it. So I would think that that's void binding. The fused are accessing surges in different ways. Maybe void binding, maybe not. I don't know. But I think it makes sense that you could maybe call that void binding. But
Maybe.
at the same time, we're kind of saying Renarin's a void binder, and that required a Nahel spread, and those wouldn't have existed back then, right?
I think
Everything bothers
we've
me
discussed
about
this
void binding.
before. Yeah, I think we've discussed this before about,
Have we?
well, the thing I'm about to bring up,
Oh, okay.
that perhaps they used the surges through the use of fabrials. I think we've discussed that before, right?
Not on the podcast, I don't think.
Okay, so possibly that using surge binding isn't what's dangerous. Like using surge binding without the mediating effects of the spren to kind of make things less dangerous, as we see with
Honor that was mediating.
Well, I'm just talking about how soulcasters who use fabrials go all,
my apologies. My bad. Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying.
Whereas doing it with a spren, it's safer. You're not going to be freaky stone monster.
Yeah.
I don't agree that the ancient humans, the first Voidbringers, just use fabrials. I do not agree with that.
Okay.
Because from the Isla Stelle, they come from another world, using powers that we have been forbidden to touch, dangerous powers of spren and surges. They destroyed their lands and have come to us begging.
Well, that might
Additionally,
be... Oh, sorry.
Additionally, well, I'm looking at the listener songs, and those, when they use the context of surges, they're always referring to human surges. But I think the biggest quote is this one: "The betrayal of spren brought us here. They gave their surges to human heirs, but not to those who know them most dear before us. 'Tis no surprise we turn away unto the gods we spent our days, and to become their molding clay they changed us." Which is weird, the betrayal of spren and the gods. I feel like we're not getting the full story there with just how we know the timeline needs to be.
Yeah.
Because the heralds need to exist, and I don't see why the heralds would need to exist until the ancient singers became the fused, right? Like,
yeah.
I
think it's important that those songs were when the Last Legion split off from Biodomishram, they were in dull form.
Sorry, small correction. Probably be from the Last Desolation, not from Biodomishram.
Really?
No, there is an implication, at least in the in the story of the listeners, that they specifically threw off their gods and left the gods.
Okay, yeah.
Biodomishram.
Okay, yeah.
Then it couldn't be that.
I was conflating two different things.
I wrote that wiki article. Yeah. I wouldn't know anything.
It's like at the time they were not connected to Biodomishram was the thing that was firing in my brain. So
yeah, sorry. Yes, I agree.
Regardless, like when they turned away, they were in dull form. They tried to record, like, these were all these songs were composed from the memories of dull forms, which...
True.
There's going to be some misinformation in there. And it's like, that's... The singers, well, the listeners, they're also would be contextualizing everything based on what they know. It's like they know about, oh, hey, that spren bonded that guy and now he has surge binding.
They wouldn't remember the ancient human Voidbringers.
Yeah, because we see that the listeners didn't even know you could capture spren in gems. They didn't know about fabrials. They might have at one point, but modern day listeners didn't know about that.
That's why I'm kind of going from the Isla Stelle, that dangerous powers of spren and surges. I feel like, I guess fabrials could be more impressive, but that sounds pretty magical to me.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of thinking that those Voidbringers had abilities, and just with them being called Voidbringers, I'm gonna say Voidbinding because
spren is very much a Roshar thing. As far as we know, there aren't spren on Ashen.
Well, we don't know what the context of anything on Ashen would be other than some germ magics. So
Yeah.
I mean, you're totally right. I totally agree with you there. But it is strange, but that it at least implies you can access surges on Ashen. I think that's pretty clear, at least.
Yeah, my only thought that might kind of like go around that is that the original singers that were writing this knew that for whatever reason, like deep past, they said that they were forbidden to touch these same powers,
Right.
that they knew of as powers of spren. But that doesn't mean that the humans who are using powers that do the same things were necessarily using spren. That might just be the only way the singers knew how to do that. Yeah,
Knew how to access it.
Yes.
I'm pretty into that, actually.
yeah. Is my thought, my only thought. So,
Like it, yeah. So that aside, with that tangent on the human Voidbringers,
Yeah.
just a minor thing, not important, I'm sure. I think with Renarin, we're seeing Voidbinding maybe in a different way. That is through this corrupted spren, which I don't think is what happened with the human Voidbringers, and I don't think is happening with the fused. I think those potentially could all be three different things. The human Voidbringers, the fused, and Renarin's Voidbinding, I guess.
I'm on board with three different kind of expressions of the same sort of basic magic system. I think that's what I'm leaning toward right now.
Yeah, because I think with the hack of them being a Nahel bond, I think that's what's letting him get the Stormlight, right?
Yeah.
And maybe in whatever the pure void binding sense is, that would require the void light rather than Stormlight.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Renarin could probably use either, because he has
that wouldn't surprise me if
That
he could
would be
use
connections
both.
really
to both
interesting,
sides.
yeah.
Yeah, that'd
be
be cool.
awesome.
That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, like he runs out of Stormlight, and then but like there's a whole bunch of Void Light around, and like
Steel's fused
like,
void light. Oh snap! It is really interesting that the fused recognize that. So I guess it's not that unique of a thing, right? They remember, hey, what's up? Salute. I know what you are type thing. That kind of blew my mind. Just thinking about
possibly,
that.
yeah. I could see that they just recognize Odium's investiture in him or connected to him, and that might just be what they're recognizing. Not necessarily that they saw it before, but it is a good idea.
Yeah.
That feel
It's
when
just- if
the
Chris-
enemies in your book series are nicer to your son than Shallan was. So
Yeah.
feels bad, man.
Oh, that's good. I'm kind of just wondering how Chris knows about 10 levels of void binding. Like, are these written after the True Desolation?
I don't think so.
I
bet
think
she's done some research in like the mythology of what it is.
Yeah.
I
There
guess,
may
but-
be records off-world of stuff from Roshar that the hierarchy did not corrupt.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Holy crap, that is a cool idea.
There almost
There you
definitely
go.
should be, actually.
There absolutely should be. Whoa.
Huh.
Take Yasna
Or
world
like
hopping,
in
please.
records in Shadesmar. Or just records in Shadesmar.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah, that's what,
Like, it doesn't even need to be world hopping.
There you go.
Oh, that's crazy.
which
Or would like even Western Roshar wouldn't have been touched by the
Yeah,
hierarchy.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of ways for that to get out there. But that seems to imply that void binding's common. So in that train of thought, if there are 10 levels of it, then it's not that unique of a thing, right?
Yeah, it's. I don't like that comment because it doesn't make sense.
I agree. I don't understand what that means with respect to anything. Like, I guess, yeah, sure, there's a chart in the back. It's got 10. All right, void binding chart. What does that have to do with Renarin? I guess he's a void binder? Yeah, it's kind of the implication, but if that's common, then Hessi's just completely wrong, right? About Sja-anat.
Yeah, although
Because if Sja-anat, yeah.
I still think that feels like something the Radiants would have tried to conceal. I don't think they would have been
I think so
down.
too. I think so too. It could have been one of those things that was more commonly known and feared during the Desolations, and we're seeing the Radiants talk 2,000 years later, right?
Mm-hmm. True.
And so they'll be like, yo, don't worry, guys. You don't have anything to worry about. We definitely didn't get any answers at all about any of these things, because it's just like, God, at least if you're listening, you're kind of thinking, wow, there's a lot of weird crap going on here, and I don't know really how it connects perfectly.
If you're lost about Voidbringing, don't worry, everyone is. It's not that you haven't gotten the answers yet. Brandon's the only one who understands it at the moment.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Which is, you know what, is kind of a fun place to be in theorizing. Like, you can feel whatever you want about Voidbinding. It's probably plausible. Go for it. Live your dreams, theorizers.
It's kind of like before Hero of Ages, what Hemalurgy is. What could that be?
Yeah.
You know?
Make
it's kind of
stuff
like
up.
that era.
It's fun. You never know. Could be right. Type it up. Get to say I told you so somewhere down the line. It's
such a fun feeling.
Crazy thought.
Oh yeah.
This is just a crazy thought that not only do we have fuse stuff and 9 orders of them to explore, which we like barely saw any of that in Oathbringer. We saw like gravitation ones, and that's the ones we fought. That's like it, right?
Mm-hmm. We saw
like one other.
We saw one
There's
like
some Edge Dancer ones. There was a Light Weaver one.
Okay, yeah.
There was a fuse that like molded the carapace on his arm into like tools.
Oh, and like the big armory one that was beating the crap out of Kaladin.
Yeah. So if that's so we have 9 orders of those to think about, 10 levels of Voidbinding to think about, and whatever the crap human Voidbringers do. So we got 3 more easy. Like, oh goodness.
And wherever Renarin falls on that spectrum, Fabrials. Oh, Roshar.
And Fabrials.
Everything's extra.
So we're book 3. There's plenty more to discover.
Amen.
Any last thoughts? Any last thoughts on Voidbinding? Voidbringing, not the same as Voidbinding. I saw you say Voidbringing, Alex, or heard you.
Did I?
Not saw.
Oh my gosh!
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
gosh,
you did.
There's too many words. No, I'm kicked
off the
no.
podcast.
Look, if it wasn't Renarin, if it wasn't about Renarin, don't 100% trust anything I say. Renarin's the only thing I know what I'm talking about.
That is true. That is true. Because when David said, yeah, the fuse salute, and you said yes, that meant I knew it was real. Not that I didn't believe David, but if David didn't read the quote and Alyx agreed, then I'm 100% on board. 100%.
There you go. I'm glad I can do such a research.
I totally believe him. With Alyx, I don't need a citation needed thing, you know?
Citation Alyx.
Yep. All right, well, I think that's about it, because I think our brains are just confused at this stage.
Pretty much.
But,
and will be till 2020, 2021.
Hopefully we've confused the audience with us, and we can all suffer together.
But, you know what? You probably know about how weird stuff is, and maybe more about Renarin and Sja-anat.
Hey.
I like how my pronunciation of Sja-anat has not been consistent in this podcast at all. I'm just like flipping between the two totally randomly. I'm sure someone in the comments is really pissed off about it. So on that note, please feel free to comment below. Feel free to like and subscribe or dislike the video. Or follow on SoundCloud. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter on 17th Shard. Come chat with us on Discord and the forums, and you can ping us directly if you want to talk about stuff. There's still lots of Oathbringer discussion happening on Discord and the forums, so please feel free to join in.
Tell us your Voidbringer thoughts. Voidbinding.
Tell us your thoughts about
all
Renarin,
of those things.
And if you say Renarin, Alyx will be in that topic.
I will be there. I'm coming. I'm there already, probably.
You're in the spiritual realm, just every connection with Renarin.
Basically, that's basically how it works.
You're already there.
If you say Renarin's name 3 times and then spin around, Alyx will just appear behind
Alyx
you.
will be there. Absolutely. Just like Beetlejuice. But
I was going to say Bloody Mary.
I was
all of those
Beetlejuice,
summoning
but yeah.
rituals work. So toll free.
For Alyx in particular,
all of those,
she will be there. Will you bring your cat too when you're summoned?
Probably. She's probably
Just
being
to,
naughty, and I'm like in the middle of punishing her, and then I just appear in your room like, oh, hey, we're talking about Renarin now? Cool. Isn't he the best? That's how it works.
Okay, guys. See you next time.
Bye.
I have no idea. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Caw.